Good morning, everybody. Hope your evening went well. It was a nice one here in Wichita. The temperatures were in the mid-70s. Humidity at least as high, like living east of the Mississippi. So, reminded me a lot of East Tennessee, which is where I spent my high school and college years for the most part. Okay, we have strong markets, both equity markets and equity and financial markets are up. We had hoped last night to come in and buy against 20. Given the close at 28, thought we might have a shot at it. We had highlighted 25 as a possibility right here because it is an attractor, and it's still the case today, but the market closed strong up in this area and proceeded to trade higher overnight. So we have a P here and a P here. Now, the historical auctions are up, down, up. They use the intermediate term to set up the long term. Right now, based on what happened in the overnight session, we're going to look for 3 up auctions. There will be some back and forth, so we have a shot at buying it. But we'll play for 3 up auctions, and the 5-year will be strong today. Probably auction at a better price than yesterday's market did. No news to drive the trading. Stock market is higher overnight. Equity markets around the world are higher overnight, in spite of some weak economic news. So we're going to start out. We got resistance at 4 to 8.5, this area up here. So we'll make our sell 3 to 7 on the idea they can't take it straight up. But the preferred side is to be a buyer. It's not to be a seller. But we can play for a little back and forth. Now, I'd like to buy the 29 to 25 area. Lean against this high volume number down here for buy 1. Having said that, it may be pretty tough to buy. We may have to pay 26s, 2601s. So I'm going to play on a little early selling, come back, test support beneath the buck, try to work this high volume number, try to work yesterday's close at 28.5, try to get into a long at 29, and we'll see how that plays out. And then the second buy will be 17 to 21, which is where we wanted to do it last night. The markets are pretty much buy everything. And this is with quite often bullish headlines economically, but not always. So the markets are headed up across the board and appear to be moving higher. Looking at the 30-year, very strong market. We're pressing the highs. 38.04. That's definitely within reach today. The knob spread was pretty much where it was when it went out yesterday at 11.16. Dealing with a very strong P. We're at 24 right now. The breakout from yesterday was at 15. So I'd like to buy 13s to 17s. Would be pretty comfortable doing that, but it may take 21s, 20s to get in. We'll just have to see. So we'll make buy 1 13 to 17, and we'll make buy 2 5 to 9, but be prepared to pay higher. We have a fairly strong P, not too interested in getting short, so we're going to lean against resistance at 31 to 04, then we'll make it a 7 to 11 for sell 2. I think there has to be some back and forth to entice people to buy. And we'll see if that plays. Okay, gold was pretty quiet last night. When gold gets whacked, usually the next day is a pause day. I think that's what we're seeing. It is pointed lower, and the lack of buying from large institutions makes it easier to trade lower. You still have the retail account buying into weakness, especially in Asia. India has lifted their ban on buying gold by retail accounts. Seeing how gold smuggling was the name of the game over there pretty much every day. It's really, really, really difficult to regulate markets through prohibition, as every government finds out. Just makes it more valuable, and people will pay more for it. So we left yesterday's market with a 60 to 62 buy. That is the low. Looks pretty good. The idea was we had a trend day, probably a little lower, but not break it. So we'll make this buy 1, buy 2, 55, 57. On the sell side, last rotate up was 68, 70, so we can come back a little bit. We have all these single prints starting at, what, 74, then again down at 69, so we'll make the 69, 71, sell 1, let them get stops above the overnight session high, then 74, 76 for sell 2. So we did pretty well for you in gold last night on the close. Euro was off a little bit overnight. We do like the short side in the euro dollar. That probably is not going to change. And again, I know I sound like a broken record, but when the central bank says higher or lower prices, it's just really, really hard to fight the tape. And the euro, when Draghi came out and started trying to talk the market lower, rallied a great deal after that. But we did just fine in those markets. And our position generally was, when it rallies 50 to 75 ticks, sell it in London, and that worked out pretty well for us. Not perfectly so, but pretty good. And yesterday when we left this market, we showed volume in these areas right here. And our sell yesterday, we'd hoped to get it done against 50. Did not get close. In fact, yesterday's close was pretty much where the market was. So we have a seller at 25. London's last rotate up was 33, so we'll make our sell at 30 to 40, then 50 to 60. On the buy side, we had the buy yesterday at buy number 2 was 136 plus or minus 5, so we'll leave it that way. Buy 1 right here, and then we'll make 75 to 85 for buy 2. Do like the sell side better. Crude didn't do much overnight, if memory serves me correctly. Pretty quiet session. No news out of the South China Sea about more fighting between China and Vietnam. And again, the Orientals know how to do this where they don't lose face. So it was China against a Vietnamese fishing boat. It wasn't China versus a gunboat from Vietnam. Read no stories of riots or anything overnight either. So again, we've got this selling against 50. And we left yesterday wanting to sell a quarter to a half. That looks reasonable once again. And then 75 to the buck for sell 2. On the buy side, we're at 104.17. Let's try 103.50 to 103.75, and then 103 even to 103 and a quarter. And to everybody's favorite market, I tell you, if you've mastered the E-mini, you have done well. It's a great market, and we've got really good volatility this year. Sometimes the market actually moves lower. It was not the case at the end of 2013. Buy and hold was the strategy that worked for you. This market just goes higher. We've got June into the second quarter. I don't think you're going to see a lot of institutions out there very interested in being a seller up here without an obvious piece of news. So the bias remains to the upside, and you really can't fight the tape. And when you go back and look at the structure, you see multiple distributions higher. You see volume moving higher in every distribution. So we haven't found a price too high to cut off the buying yet. So we're still in stage number 1. Market activity, and you can just see how volume continues to move higher in these particular distributions. Yesterday our number 2 sell band was 14 to 16. We'll make it sell 1. No news to drive the trading today. Sell 2, 19 to 22. Got volume at 06 to 7. We got the overnight session low at 9. We're at 12. We'll just make 8 to 10 buy 1. It's not a comfortable trade at all, but sometimes that's the way it is. And then 3 to 5 for buy 2. Market is strong. It's pointed higher. No news to drive today's trading. Germany was expecting a gain of 14,000 in employment numbers. They lost 24,000 jobs. Didn't phase the market in Europe. So the market is just really ignoring bad news. And if that is the case, you can't fight the tape. Even though you've got lots of reasons once you get past the headlines to be a seller. So we're looking for number 2, price where the market rejects. Price is too high for anybody to buy it without the market pausing for a while. We haven't gotten there yet. Okay, it'll take at least 20 minutes to get everything up and posted. I'm going to get busy on that right now. I'll see you. I'll be back up as soon as I can. There is no news to drive today's trading. We'll have the ability for some large players to come back in and hit the bids, take us down, so maybe we can buy in the cheap early in the session. That's the hope. If we can't extend the overnight session high, we want to be short in anticipation of support being retested. That's all I have for right now. See you in 15 to 20 minutes.